to watch that game. That being said, we're now in a situation where there is no Barbie night game. There is no Barbie night game this year at all. Not that there's certain games. So there is, fair enough, you've opening night, world culture, Juneteenth, women's cancer awareness, pride, sneaker / fashion, sports matter, mental health, Marvel Superhero Day. Yeah. Sky's birthday. Sky.
A small but telling detail emerged from the Chicago Sky's recently released schedule of theme nights, and it has added fresh fuel to an already burning conversation about how the organization handles its own talent. Barbie Night, the single biggest promotional event the franchise has run in recent years, is nowhere on the calendar for the upcoming season. No Barbie Night, but Marvel Superhero Day made the cut. For context, Barbie Night became the Sky's marquee event largely because it was always scheduled against the Indiana Fever, which turned it into one of the most watched regular season matchups the team hosted.
Yeah. Sky's birthday. Sky's birthday. And you might be saying, oh, there's definitely, they probably didn't let the Chicago Sky do this. Because maybe Barbie don't have an agreement with Angel Reese anymore. Yeah, they do. Angel Reese was at that empty Barbie Fest thing last week. And obviously fan appreciation night near the end of the year. But like, they literally have Marvel Superhero Day.
Crowds showed up, attention followed, and the event gave the franchise something resembling a cultural moment. Pulling it from the schedule entirely, while keeping lower-profile theme nights like Juneteenth, Pride, Sneaker, Fashion Night, and a Sky Birthday celebration, is a strange call on the surface. Angel Reese attended a Barbie-related event recently, which rules out the possibility that a licensing dispute between Reese and Barbie ended the relationship. That shifts the question back to the organization.
They literally have Marvel Superhero Day. No Barbie night, but Marvel Super... So no days celebrating your best player. The player that's supposed to be the face of your franchise. But you've got Marvel Superhero Day. I guess. That's all that I'm going to say is, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of just sums up everything with the Sky, is that nothing goes well.
The decision to schedule Marvel Superhero Day but not a night built around the face of the franchise says something about the internal dynamics, even if no one in the front office has explained it publicly. This is not an isolated stumble. The Chicago Sky have developed a pattern of decisions that push talented players toward the exit rather than locking them in. Kalia Copper left.
It's kind of just sums up everything with the Sky, is that nothing goes well. Like, nothing with this team goes well. Whether it's with Angel, whether it's with Camilla, whether it's with Ariel Atkins, they just gave away 2 draft picks because they were so scared about losing Haley Van Lith. They were so damn scared of losing HVL, they just gave away 2 picks. Like, that is really, really bad for bad decision making by an organization. That being said, again, this is the Chicago.
Elena Deledone walked away from the organization. Gabby Williams refused to report. Sylvia Fowles. Candace Parker came back home to Chicago and still could not get out fast enough. Marina Mabrey made no secret of wanting out once she got there.
Decision making by an organization. That being said, again, this is the Chicago Sky and we should just be ready for it. Like, there's a reason. Like, if you look at the amount of players that have walked out on the Sky and just flat out refused to play for them. You have, obviously, Kalia Copper. Most recently, Kalia Copper did it. Then Elena Deledon, one of the greatest to ever do it. Elena Deledon. I just want to type it in, WNBA.
Courtney Vandersloot essentially stayed because Chicago is her home, not because the organization gave her compelling reasons to remain. The list of players who wanted no part of the Sky once they experienced it from the inside is long and cuts across every era of the franchise. Now the organization finds itself in a position where Angel Reese, the one player responsible for keeping fans engaged, may be feeling the effects of that same dysfunction. Whether intentional or not, removing Barbie Night, an event closely tied to her brand and image, while keeping a Marvel theme night reads as indifference toward the player carrying the most weight on the roster.
I just want to look up, type it in, WNBA players that quit Sky. Gabby Williams as well, just refused. Sylvia Fowles. Candace Parker. Candace Parker returned home to Chicago and then still was like, yeah, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. Like, it is, heck, even Marina Mabry was like, you know what, this team stinks, I'm gone. I signed to play for a good team, this team stinks. Like,
An indifference toward a star has consequences. The record tells the story clearly. Chicago wins meaningfully more games with Reese on the floor than without her. She is the primary reason anyone outside of the team's long-standing fan base is paying attention to the Sky at all.
Good team, this team stinks. Like, every good player the Sky has ever had, other than Courtney Vandersloot, who, by the looks of it, just wants to be closer to, who just lives in Chicago and is happy to be at home with her wife. Other than Sloot, nobody would ever come back. Like, it's mad. And then it's like, for me, I think you need to do everything you can to appease Angel Reese. Even if you don't, as a individual, if you are running the team and you don't like Angel Reese.
Building around that should be the obvious priority. Instead, the front office gave away 2 draft picks just to protect Haley Van Lith from being taken in the expansion draft, a move widely criticized as a panicked overpayment for a player who has not come close to justifying that kind of asset spending. There is a version of this situation where Reese gets traded. It is not the most likely outcome, but the possibility is real enough that people close to the league are weighing it seriously.
And even if you don't, as a individual, if you are running the team and you don't like Angel Reese, she's the only reason people are showing up to this team. She is. Whatever you want to say about Angel, whatever your opinion is about Angel, she is the only reason anyone gives a damn about this team. This is one of the least relevant teams in the WNBA. And we've now got a situation where, like, it seems, are they trying to piss off their best player? Are they trying to piss off the player who, even if you...
Dallas, in particular, has been floated as a team that would seriously consider a package built around the first overall pick in exchange for Reese. A haul that size would at least give Chicago a path forward. The downside is that Reese brings her own fan base with her. Those supporters follow her as an individual, not the franchise, and they leave the moment she does. The original Sky supporters stay, but the organization trades its most visible asset for draft capital and a reset.
Guess what's not there, much like at the Barbie convention? There is no Barbie night. And Angel Reese fans are starting to crash out over there not being a Barbie night. You can't make this shit up, folks. You really can't. We'll get to that in a second. Trade alert! Merp, merp, merp. The Sky have reached agreements with the Portland Fire and Toronto.
The Barbie Night decision may ultimately come down to nothing more than a licensing agreement that did not come together in time. That is the most charitable reading of what happened. But given everything that has surrounded this franchise over the past several years, it is hard to look at it in isolation. The Chicago Sky have a well-established history of doing things the hard way, and this looks like another chapter in that same story.
Tempo ahead of the expansion draft. As a result, neither team will select a player from Chicago's unprotected list in the expansion draft. So let me get this straight, and if you're looking for me to break down specifics of an expansion draft, you got to trade? Nah. Number 5 overall, first round. Number 21. Number 32. That's the WNBA picks. Right here.
2 separate Chicago Sky stories dropped at the same time this week, and together they have generated more noise than anything the franchise has produced on the court in recent memory. The first concerns a pair of pre-expansion draft agreements. Chicago reached separate arrangements with both the Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo, with each new franchise committing to skip over any Chicago player during the expansion selection process. The compensation for those agreements was straightforward. Portland receives the 17th pick in the second round, and Toronto takes the 26th.
It looks like the Fire will receive a second round 17th pick, And the tempo, they are getting a round 2 pick 26 in all this. So there's that. All right. Now, in this fire trade, they get a round 2 pick 21. Yeah, out of that. By the way, the second round picks, probably a player.
Neither selection carries significant weight. Players coming off the board at those spots in the second round rarely make a meaningful roster impact. That makes the decision to part with them in order to shield a 1-0 and 3-4 roster from expansion selections a genuinely difficult thing to rationalize. The natural follow-up question, which player on last year's Chicago team warranted that level of protection, does not have an obvious answer, and that gap is at the center of the criticism the move has attracted. Fan response was swift and pointed.
That's going to do absolutely nothing. Out of there. What is funny, however, is the fact that Chicago felt anybody on their roster was worth protecting. I mean, that's the story here. Is that all right? Yeah. I think it's a good day for business. It was April Fool's, and this shit was for real. Angel Reese on the Chicago Sky.
A large share of the commentary zeroed in on the record itself. A franchise that won 10 games last season is now spending draft capital to keep that same group together. The logic of the trade from the outside has been difficult for most observers to follow, and social media made that confusion audible almost immediately after the news broke. Angel Reese is, as usual, the name that surfaces whenever the Sky generate any kind of attention. Her supporters were already engaged heading into the week, and the expansion trade accelerated that energy considerably.
Yeah, we all know them houses that's got the nice cars, but the house looks like it should be condemned. We all know. Seriously, making trades to keep a squad together that went, check notes, 10-34. Nobody has been fired. Blatant money laundering. Yeah. I mean, this is...
Trade speculation spread quickly across fan communities, with Connecticut and Atlanta emerging as the destinations mentioned most frequently. The sentiment driving those conversations is consistent that Reese's talent and profile deserve a more functional organizational environment, and that Chicago's recent pattern of decisions does not reflect an understanding of what it has in her. The second story, running alongside the trade news, involves the Sky's published schedule of themed game nights for the 2026 season. The calendar is varied. Opening night carries a women's cancer awareness theme, followed at various points by a World Culture Night, Pride Night, a sneaker and fashion event, Mental Health Night, Marvel Superhero Day, a Chicago Neighbors game at the United Center, a Sky Birthday celebration, Hoops for Troops, and a fan appreciation evening.
It's not good. This has got to be an April Fool's joke. It's not. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Like, which basketball player are you trying to protect? That's good. Basketball. I hadn't thought about that one. Dumbest trade I've seen. You were 10-34 last season, and you just traded 2 draft picks to run it back with the same people. Laughing my ass off. I see you're trying to keep Angel locked down.
The list is long, but something that a vocal section of Reese's fanbase noticed immediately is absent from it entirely. Any night built around Reese's public persona and brand, the Barbie-themed event her supporters had come to expect. That omission landed hard. Responses ranged from genuine frustration to open speculation that the absence signals an impending trade. The argument from Reese's following is consistent with a broader complaint about the franchise that the organization has never properly leveraged or acknowledged the commercial energy she brings through the door.
Well, yeah. Let's just go over here. Our 2026 game schedule is here. Themed games. And I thought this might have been April Fool's until I really started looking and thought, nah, they're not going to throw women's cancer awareness and Juneteenth. Now, it would be funny. Juneteenth, it'd be funny. But
for a player whose presence drives ticket and merchandise interest at a level the rest of the roster cannot replicate, a promotional calendar that treats her as interchangeable with any other themed evening struck her supporters as tone-deaf at best. Some fans stated publicly they had passed on renewing season tickets. Whether that reflects a meaningful trend or isolated sentiment is hard to gauge, but the reaction points to something real. A fan base that feels the organization is repeatedly making decisions that misread what actually gives the team its market relevance. Spending draft picks to preserve a losing roster while simultaneously releasing a theme schedule that ignores the player most responsible for drawing attention to that roster both in the same week is the kind of combination that produces exactly the reaction Chicago received.
They didn't. So, opening night, women's cancer awareness, world culture, Juneteenth, okay. Pride night, sneaker and fashion, what? What? Sports matter. Wait a minute. Sports matter. Sports lives matter. Oh, that's racist, Rhodes. Mental health.
What happens next with Reese remains an open question. Whether the expansion trade is connected to any actual trade discussions involving her is unclear. But the speculation is running, the fan base is agitated, and the franchise has given little indication it understands either the basketball or the business dimensions of its current situation.